Alright guys, what's going on? We're back to it again. We got another update for you guys. The last time I did one was last Friday, October 11th. Today it's Friday, October 18th. So who knows, maybe we'll make this a weekly Friday thing. It feels like I haven't done one of these in a while though, because a lot has happened. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, the appointments have started ramping up again, so we are jumping straight into the deep end with a bunch of stuff. And we're gonna get into everything, but first I want to just recap what has happened so far. For those of you guys who somehow haven't seen any of the videos, I was diagnosed with embryonal rhabdomyosarcoma in my left orbit behind my eye back in June, and we have been getting treatment ever since July 13th, which was the first chemo. More recently, I did an MRI and a PET scan in which a very, very, very tiny little mass was still found behind my eye, about 1 centimeter by 0.5 centimeters. We definitely have a lot to talk about because for whatever reason, just a lot happened or changed or whatever in the last week. So, the last time I spoke to you guys, I was recovering from a pretty bad cold. I started my second cycle of chemo on October 3rd, where I had a somewhat big dose of chemo because I had 2 chemicals given, one of them causing major nausea and just feeling like crap. So I got that, and then a few days later I got sick, so I was completely knocked out for like a week. It was pretty bad. So from that point to like a week later, I was just out on my feet. And then after that, I got my second dose of incretine, the one chemical for that cycle, and here we are. I was due to get my third dose of incretine yesterday on October 17th, but that did not happen. We're going to get into that in just a second. But the radiation, the proton radiation, actually has begun. So it started on October 16th, which was on Wednesday, and it's going to be every weekday until November 22nd, which is a Friday. So it's about 28 days of radiation. The deciding factor was that previous MRI that was gonna determine if it would be 20 or 28 days. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to deal with the 28 days. So I'm gonna jump into some of the side effects of that as well, because proton radiation is a very under researched, and like no one really knows about proton radiation. So yeah, let's jump into everything. This might be a bit of a long video, so grab your popcorn and buckle up because there's definitely a lot that I want to say. I haven't actually seen my main oncologist in about a month, maybe even a little more, just because of all the Jewish holidays. I was sick last time, so I moved my chemo to Friday. He's not there on Friday, so I went over the MRI with another oncologist, or maybe even a nurse practitioner. I don't remember exactly, but she was unable to even see the cancerous cells on the MRI. So that's how small of a thing we're dealing with here. As you can see, I mean, my eyes look completely normal. So yeah, whatever is there is extremely small, maybe even microscopic. But yeah, so that's a bit frustrating, to say the least, that that's still considered as disease. Well, what can you do? We're gonna do the 28 days of radiation, and then we should be done for good with this whole thing. Jumping into that radiation itself. So basically the way it works is you go in, you lie down on this bed. It's not like a bed like that you would sleep on. It's more of like an armchair couch. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world. they strap my legs in because I do have cerebral palsy, so movement definitely was a concern because, if I move my legs, I move my entire body, and then I could move, and then the radiation could hit the wrong spot, which is really, really, really bad because then we affect areas that don't need to be affected, and we're not actually treating the right spots. So they're very good about making sure that you don't move at all, which is also the uncomfortable part of it, right? Because they strap my legs in, and what they do for everyone is they put a mask on the affected area. So in my case, it's my eye, so it's my head. So they lock my head into place with this very stiff mesh mask that goes like this, and it's very uncomfortable. Thankfully, the radiation sessions are only about 15 minutes long, maybe a bit more than that, but it's nothing like crazy long, so that's good. The place is about 20 minutes from my house, so that's also good too. And then as far as like what you feel during radiation, so you feel it a little bit hard to breathe because the mask is so tight, but that's not due to the radiation, that's just due to the mask. And also too, what was the other thing I was gonna say? You feel a bit like itchy, I guess. I haven't really felt much in the actual eye itself. I mean, when the beam hits my eye, I actually smell something. It smells like chlorine because the beam activates one of the glands in your, in between your eye and nose. So that's just a weird little thing that you have to deal with. And besides that, you get up and walk out of there pretty quickly, and there's nothing really to it. It's not as extensive nearly as chemo. So yeah, it's pretty chill. As far as side effects go, so headache is one that could happen if you get very swollen in the area. You can have like a headache in that region. I'm talking about specifically for a orbital tumor. For everything, it's different because radiation is targeted. By the way, this is proton radiation, so the great thing about that is that my brain is unaffected because the beams stop at the tumor. They don't go straight back to my head. There's very little exit carnage, so I should be just as smart at the end of it, so that's good. That's one thing that is definitely very worth mentioning because with regular radiation, you get brain damage, both eyes, your nose, your mouth, everything is affected. You definitely don't want that. So there's that. So headaches is one side effect, not really that big of a deal. Well, I mean, it depends how bad, but that seems like that's more towards the very end of the treatment. If you get super swollen for whatever reason, could get a headache, could be a bit tired, and then the main side effect is obviously the eye itself. So you could have decreased vision during treatment. You could even have decreased vision after treatment, which is honestly a bit scary. That's probably the scariest part, for sure. Is actually the scariest part. So there's that. And then you could have like a pretty bad burn around your eye, get pretty red around the region like a sunburn. So if my eye starts turning red or the surrounding areas start turning a bit red on this side of my face, that is why. So that is one thing that could happen by like 3 weeks in. It probably will happen at least a little bit. So we're definitely going to have to push through this whole thing. Definitely a pain in the ass. Probably the biggest physical pain in the ass because you got to run around every day. And the times can be variable. Like, you never know. One thing that I found super interesting that I found out yesterday, actually, the head radiation oncologist at the Proton Center was doing a little checkup on me, and she told me that this little thing I've been telling you guys about, the peripheral vision decrease, actually is right in line with what kind of tumor I had. So the tumor was on the inside of my left eye, like on the nodal side, I guess it's called, like the side where your nose is, and that part of your eye is actually responsible for peripheral vision. So that's why my peripheral vision is worse in the left eye. That is great to know. I wish someone would have told me that sooner, because I was like, wait a second, like, why is it like this? Is it just my imagination? But no, there's an actual reason for it. So there's that, and then the beams are going in that same direction. So unfortunately, peripheral vision probably might get even a little bit worse than it is, but it's not like an unmanageable thing. It's noticeable, but it's just like, listen, if that's the only thing I have from having cancer, that's pretty freaking good. And then the long-term risk is cataracts in my case. So I told you guys that a while ago. Cataract is basically a layer of basically a foggy lens on top of your eye. This usually happens to people when they're old anyway. I'll probably get it pretty young in that eye, but that's fixable via surgery. So that's unfortunately one thing that I'm gonna have to watch out for, probably for the rest of my life. But besides that, there's nothing else really. Obviously, there's those super unlikely risks, but I don't even want to get into those right now because there's no point. But so yeah, that's the radiation piece. As far as the chemo, so I do need to tell you guys something that I never mentioned before. I sort of forgot about it, but at the beginning of my treatment, the first time I met my oncologist, he told me that the main thing he was concerned about with the chemo regimen that I'm doing is peripheral neuropathy. For those of you guys who don't know what it is, it's basically tingling in your fingers and toes, and it's a result of the vincristine, which is the main chemo I'm given. And due to my cerebral palsy, he was exceedingly worried about it because I already have movement issues as it is. And then, well, it's a mild form of cerebral palsy. Like, I guess you guys haven't really seen me walk. You might not even be able to tell necessarily until I try and run, and then you'll definitely be able to tell. But neuropathy would be bad for movement because if you can't feel your feet, that's not going to be an effective strategy. So I did start having the neuropathy. I noticed it after the last chemo. I had a little bit of it towards the last cycle at the end, and I have it now, and it hasn't gone away. It's been a week. So I actually got my vincristine omitted on yesterday, on Thursday, I guess. And for now, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. We might lower the dose. We might just omit the second round of chemo entirely. That would be what I would want, just because there's really no major benefit to the second round of chemo because the tumor is so small that I don't think the chemo is even able to reach it at this point, and I'm just doing damage to the rest of my body. So that's definitely something that really pisses me off. So we're going to have to see about that. We'll see where it goes. Lowering the dosage is also obviously an option, but we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated on that. But yeah, definitely some stuff has changed a bit. So that is one thing. That the way I notice it is like whenever I grab a hold of something like this, it just feels like weird, and like my fingers aren't fully feeling the way they used to. That's how I noticed it. And yeah, so it's obviously the main concern is we don't want it to spread to my feet and my toes. So far it hasn't, but that would mess up my walking because if I can't feel my feet, it's gonna be worse. And then also I've been having some issues, like whenever there's a divot in the road and I trip over it, I'm likely to fall now, which I used to just trip and not even fall, but now I could fall pretty easily because I haven't been working out. I'm getting weak. I've been getting weaker, obviously. And then whenever I do work out, I'm like super sore. So, yeah, physically not as strong as I used to be, which is unfortunate. But we'll get it back after all this is said and done. Those are the two major things I wanted to talk about. I do have an ophthalmologist on Tuesday. We've been pushing that appointment around. For some reason, it keeps getting shifted. But that is one to keep an eye out for us for the 22nd. I don't know exactly when I'm going to upload this video, probably tomorrow or the next day. But yeah, so I have my third radiation today at 5:45 p.m. By the time I upload this, that'll already be done. And yeah, besides that, I don't know if I told you guys, but me and that girl I was talking to are done now. Just not a great situation overall. It didn't really end well either, which obviously sucks, but it is what it is. A good learning experience. And also, one other thing is that my hair is growing back, so my beard is actually coming back pretty freaking fast. I mean, it looks pretty sick right now. I've been getting a lot of compliments on it. And then my hair, you can see like the outline of it. It's not quite at a buzz cut level, but I think this look is a lot better than like no hair, because now I just look like a regular guy. If I didn't already before, I definitely do now. Like, I don't think you'd be able to tell that I had cancer just by look, or that I was undergoing chemo or whatever. So yeah, my hair is not gonna fall out again, so I'll just keep getting hairier over the weeks, which is good, obviously. I like my hair as much as I like this look. But I do really like the way it looks right now with the beard. So we'll see. We'll see what I end up doing with my hair. And yeah, before I lose my voice, I'm going to end it off there. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Thanks so much for your continued support. It really does mean the world. And I'll see you all soon. Peace.